to the kickoff of the Bellevue Family YMCA and the YGS AFD. I hope you guys are jamming along with the tunes. I was trying to look at some pictures, but I didn't see anybody really moving and grooving. As you can see, we like to have a little bit of fun. I'm over here at Bellevue. I don't even like to tell people it's the annual fun drive. Like, it's the fun, capital FUN, because it's just a great opportunity to do something with over 200 volunteers. You know, our goal this year as an association is to raise a little bit of about $2.1 million to advance equity and social justice. And the one thing why I like that is because the YMCA just does so much for so many people. Me, myself, the reason why I work for the Y, well, I have to rephrase that. I tell people I don't work for the Y because a job is somewhere where you clock in, you clock out, and you go, oh, what time do I get to leave? What time is lunch? I feel like it's my calling to be at the Y, and I enjoy every single moment when I come into the building. My coworkers are just the extended family. The members are extended family, and I love it. I've been at the Y for 17 years, and I've been telling people, because the Matrix is hot right now, that I liken it to the Matrix. I took the red pill, and they say, hey, if you take this, you'll find out all the great things that the YMCA does, and I promise you won't want to leave. And I'm going, I'm just here for a short amount of time. And here we are 17 years later. I'm still in the Matrix. We're still making things happen. I love the impact that we get to have on families, youth, mental health, community every single day. I believe in the Y because the Y is not just there to get your money for program dollars. It's not just there to get your money for you to work out in a gym, but the Y really cares about you. The Y is a community. And when you get a YMCA membership, you are getting a membership to a community that will love you right where you're at, welcome you and accept you. So I welcome you to this annual fund drive event. I hope that you get some information that you don't keep to yourself, but you put it on your tool belt and you use that to enhance the lives of others. Thank you so much for letting me to be your host for this morning and give you your welcome. And I know you have some great things coming up next. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Danny Cage, for helping kick off this event. We do have a great lineup of speakers, and just very excited to have you be part of this event altogether. My name is Heather. I am the branch executive director here at the Bellevue Family YMCA, and I wanted to give you a little bit of a reflection of what has happened over this last year here at Bellevue. It has not been the easiest year for many of us. It has been a lot of changes, and a lot of people have been trying to rebuild trust in the community. And that's one of the things that we've been working on over the last year here at Bellevue. Really thinking about some of those community needs that are coming up. And we know that COVID has unveiled so many of those needs altogether. And it's a challenge for communities even today, is as we're trying to move forward out of this pandemic. But there's still a lot of work, and we need to still move forward. And 2021 has been a lot of big strides in how do we move forward. And very proud of working with many of the partners that we've had over the last years to make this possible. Some of the big things that we have tried tackling over this last year has been food insecurity. With the help of our Hunger Initiatives team, we have done a lot of work with providing meals at houses directly, as well as trying to be innovative with a food truck. And that's going to be one of the stories we share tonight. And I've been very proud of a partnership we've developed with a local pediatric office. And that's going to be another story to share with you, because we've really taken big steps to make COVID vaccines accessible for many, and really being intentional of how can we make this information available for people in multiple languages, but just trying to find space for people to learn and come to a trusted place to get their vaccine. And one of the other steps we have taken here at the Bellevue Y is really bringing back activities that are familiar to the community, such as pickleball as a big part for the community, but also finding space for people just to congregate has meant a lot for people, such as a group we refer to as our coffee guys. They just want to have space after they work out to have coffee. And before the when they used to always have coffee in the lobby, and then when the pandemic happened, we had to rearrange a lot of things. And they were very, very gracious when we were able to adjust and adapt to to what they wanted and found a space for them to sit and have coffee together. And that's been the name of the game. How do we adapt and adjust to where people are? And that's been the biggest part of where the Bellevue Y has risen up to support community. So I am very, very hopeful for 2022 that we will continue to find the ways of how can we adapt and how can we find more ways to meet people where they are. And that will involve still working with our partners, like whether it's finding community events for us to host or finding partners that are giving information of how people can keep moving forward out of the pandemic. We want to be there for that. And again, I'm just very happy that all of you have come to join us tonight. And with that, I would like to bring up Gwen Ichinose Bagley, our Youth Development Officer, to the stage as she helps tell us more about what we are looking at for Vision 2025, which is our association vision of how we are going to meet communities.
Thank you, Heather, and good evening, everyone. And thank you for being a part of tonight's really special event as we kick off the annual fund drive at Bellevue. I just want to take a brief moment to introduce you to a bold new vision. It's called Vision 2025, and it's the YMCA of Greater Seattle strategic framework that's going to guide our work over the next couple of years across the county and right here in our community. Our staff and volunteers have taken a hard look at what we've experienced these past 2 years and examined all that our community has been through, especially our young people, and in creating this vision and design. And through this model, we call it a whole person health with trauma-informed care. And this is where the Y is focused on promoting healing and belonging. And through this lens, we're going to take a holistic approach to individual health for all. And we know that health is not just physical. We're going to center ourselves in becoming an anti-racist learning organization, because for us to truly be for all, we will need to strive to look inward first to ensure that our work and practices are equitable and inclusive. And we're going to be focusing on driving system changes within the Y and community, because we know that this work will take time and we can't do it alone. The Y will continue to partner with and in community to help drive positive change. So I want you to take a look at the image on the left. This is the wheel that represents our image, our vision for whole person health. It's a holistic approach to the Y programs and services that integrates all aspects of health, like physical, mental and emotional, social and relationship, spiritual and cultural, and community well-being, that is centered in the guiding principles of this vision. As we continue to open up programs and facilities and welcoming back community to the Y, this approach is how we will deliver on this promise. And just here at Bellevue alone, there's so many exciting things that are happening. And one is, this Y is partnering with a local community organization to create a women's event in March that's centered around supporting newly immigrated women. We're also working on how to offer educational sessions from financial literacy to knowing your rights as an immigrant to finding support healthcare. So really taking time to listen to community and how the Y can be a part of solutions. As volunteers and supporters and members, we invite you to walk alongside of us as we realize this vision. Accessibility, inclusion, and equity in support of a whole person health for our youth begins here at the Y. So we have a bold vision and we're excited, and we invite you to join us in this. And there's just some specific examples I want to highlight quickly. One is funding our Access for All program, which is really about providing financial assistance so that no one can be denied access to a Y program due to an economic barrier. We want everybody to come and be a part of the organization and the work. We want to be able to provide safe and nurturing places for children during out-of-school time where they receive academic support, engage in activities that are designed to foster social and emotional learning, active play, and a sense of belonging. I want to invite you on March 3rd, there's going to be a special event that digs a little deeper into our work around after-school programming and our camps. And I encourage you to join us there to just see all the amazing work that is happening in community. In addition to these areas, your contributions go towards supporting wraparound services for our most vulnerable, our homeless youth and young adults. The investment goes to providing shelters, employment training, rental assistance, educational support, and counseling for young people who don't have that support system in place and where the Y becomes their family. And we also are continuing to expand our safety around water programs and swim lessons for youth and young adults. Every day in the US, 10 people drown, 2 of whom are children younger than the age of 15. For Black children, 5 to 19 years old, that risk of drowning is 5 times higher than white children. And one drowning is too many, and we need your help to help solve this public health issue. So I ask you tonight as you hear these stories, and we're just so honored that you're here and hope you feel inspired. And as Danny said at the beginning, our fees keep the doors open, but your contribution opens doors. And so I hope that you will join us in our mission and investing in a healthier, safer, and thriving future for all. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Gwen, for being a part of tonight. And it's going to be my honor to be able to carry through with the storytelling tonight, of being able to share about our food truck efforts. And I'm going to bring up our dear friend, Ms. Jean Allison. And just a little introduction of like how this partnership came about is with the Bellevue Family Y, we had to pivot some of the things that we were doing. And that included like trying to find ways to support what's known as our McKinney-Vento families. So families who are living without homes, like houseless in a transient way. And one of the ways how it came about was through Nourishing Networks. And they told us about a partnership that could happen with what's known as the Mobile Meal Alliance of Washington State. And that gave us an opportunity to partner with the Bellevue School District's Family Connection Center, who already had families that were identified as McKinney-Vento or struggling economically with making meals possible for their families. So that's how I came to know Ms. Jean. And Ms. Jean has been an amazing person that is part of this Bellevue School District, remarkably for over 20 plus years, and has as I read her bio more, it's a longer history than I even was aware of, between her own time as being a radio and newscaster, and just wow, I just knew her as this amazing woman who has a big heart that wanted to help families in the community. And we can certainly give her a hand as a newly retired person from the school district. So we have now want to have a time to have her highlight and share about what she's seen with the families here that are receiving the vouchers.
Thank you so much, Heather, for such an introduction. And I'm honored to be here speaking with all of you and presenting a little bit about how the Mobile Meal Alliance and the food truck vouchers have helped families here in Bellevue. As you saw in the introduction, I've been at both Bennett and at Lake Hills, Bennett first and then Lake Hills, a little bit of a culture shock. But one of the things that I came to understand is that it doesn't matter where they are, where the families are, there are still struggles. And this became very, very evident during the pandemic. I don't know, it seems like it's been going on forever, but when the schools closed that March, however many years ago now, I was able to keep my office open as a food pantry. And we just completely rearranged the room, had Melissa Slater writing grants for us. We had so many partners coming in, helping with donations. And then here comes Heather representing the YMCA and the Mobile Meal Alliance, and along with Tammy Waddell and a lot of fantastic people with these vouchers for people to go to the food truck on Wednesdays. We were seeing about 60 to 70 families every single day at our little pantry. And when I started offering these vouchers, they were one of the most graciously accepted, and people were so thankful for this opportunity. to go eat something special. Mr. T is from Tyee, and he wrote down that my daughter never ate at food truck. We are Vietnamese and never have food from Venezuela before. We cannot afford such a treat. I am so thankful. Mrs. M from Lake Hills, this is a wonderful program for families that are on the meal program at school. Thank you, because we cannot do this without the YMCA and Mrs. Allison. People love this program and are so grateful that there are people who are supporting this and making it a possibility. I don't know about you, but you know, food trucks, they're kind of expensive if you're trying to feed 6 or 7 people in your family, and at $10 a piece, that's, you know, $70. People don't drop that kind of money if they are McKinney-Vento and they are homeless in some way, or maybe they lost jobs over the pandemic. That's one of the things that I saw through the pantry, is a lot of people who were the newly poor people, as one person described herself. And this was such a blessing to her. And then we are still able to offer this. I've had some great support from one of the other family engagement specialists at Stevenson, who actually hands out the vouchers. I pick them up, get them ready. And so it's a group effort. The group being my actually getting the vouchers into the family's hands, and you, Heather, getting the vouchers to me, and the people who are supporting the Mobile Meal Alliance. Can't thank you enough for what you are doing for all of the families, for so many families that are here in Bellevue. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you being here, Ms. Jean. So I wrote in the chat like that currently right now we are supporting 64 meals per week. We started with about 50, and I know that there are more meals we would love to be able to support per week. So as a perspective, I think about 64 meals and individual meals, not necessarily 64 families, individual meals, because we are able to have that kind of funding. And right now, but it'd be fantastic if we could do more meals per week. And I know that between Ms. Jean as well as the team still at the Stevenson Elementary School, I know they can find more people who would be able to benefit from those meals altogether. So thank you very much, Ms. Jean, for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
With that, I am going to bring up our next guest. And this guest is with Stepping Stone Pediatrics. This is Kevy. Kevy has been someone I actually met through a fellowship with the Bellevue College program. And he has been an amazing partner in crime, I want to say, because I've been able to host over 10 vaccine events in this last year here at the Bellevue Family Y. And it's been an honor to work beside him, because when we first started talking about the idea of vaccine events, we really connected on our belief that people should have access in different ways, whether it's through language, access for information, and just really being intentional. How do we reach communities who are not easily informed about what the vaccine can do for them and the whole and just the whole community. So it's been an honor to work with Kevy, and just really between our moments of thinking about how can we do more, it's just always an honor to work with Kevy. And I'll pass it on to him.
Thank you for your kind introduction, Heather. The number was 17, actually, 17 different events. Not that I'm counting, right? Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be invited by my dear friend Heather to speak tonight, I guess, to share with you the fruits of our relationship labor, I call it. I think personally, I think it's one of my most meaningful, fulfilling accomplishments in recent times. For those who I've never met, my name is Kevy. I'm representing Stepping Stone Pediatrics, where I've been serving as a medical director since 2012. So my clinic, Stepping Stone Pediatrics, is a pediatric primary care office in Crossroads neighborhood, or near Crossroads neighborhood. A little bit over a mile from the Bellevue Y. That is, if you're 5'9" like me, it's about 2,300 steps and 24 minutes of a walk. In case you're wondering, don't ask me why or how I know. I've walked it a couple of times, but and I've had the pleasure of working with Heather and her team, as well as the team from the Greater Association over the past year. And this, I'll tell you, most of you have likely heard about our COVID-19 vaccination efforts. It seems like that's about the only thing we talk about these days, COVID, doesn't it? But I don't know about you, but I tend to do a lot of self-reflections or deep thinking in the oddest place and during the oddest times. So, like while being in a dentist chair, while getting my teeth clean, or while taking an ice cold shower, am I the only one doing this? So I want to share with you that recently I reflected on a thing or two, or 17 of them, that Heather and I have collaborated in recent times. And I think with each event that we did, it seemed to have provided me an even greater sense of fulfillment, if that makes sense at all. And with that, I mean, I feel as though as our missions are ever more aligned. To quote the wise mission is to build a community where all people, especially young people, are encouraged to develop their fullest potential in spirit, mind, and body. And to me personally, not only it's a sense of fulfillment, but it's also maybe a sense of belonging. Like I feel like I belong here. So much so that these days, every time I stop by to Bellevue Y, Heather just simply says, "Hey, let's just meet in your office," my imaginary office, right, Heather? So I feel obligated to share with you not only the outcome of our vaccine efforts, but also to highlight the extensive work that Heather and her team have put together to make these events happen. So think about the nitty-gritty work to ensure that we're targeting specific at-risk and disadvantaged communities, talking about newly immigrated families, families with linguistic barriers in accessing healthcare, people of color, food service workers. I think it's one of the communities that we reached out to, service employees, among many others. I think at some point we actually, or Heather and her team actually went door to door to our neighboring small mom and pop restaurants, so that their workers are aware of our vaccine event that were occurring that night. So I guess today I'm proud to share with you that at the Bellevue Y alone, and not taking into account the events that I've personally done at other YGS branches, we've been able to put no less than about 3,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine into people's arms over those 17 different events. So we continuously reaffirm our commitment to attempt to remove all barriers, institutional, systemic barriers, and all activities that we did or will do in the future. And I think this kind of impact actually takes systems and cultural change. And change happens along the lines of relationships, and change happens at the speed of trust. So I know that firsthand that my partnerships that are between Stepping Stone Pediatrics and the Bellevue Y are again it's a fruit of our relationship labor. So thank you for that, Heather. We're honored to be a close partner of the Bellevue Y, and we'll continue to flourish and strengthen our partnership moving forward, whether it's in the capacity of administering more vaccines or just about anything else. So I'll close my segment by sharing with you a personal favorite moment, I guess, from one of our events last year. So it was back in April, I think April 3rd. We were able to administer about 480, 490 doses on a span of about 6-8 hours, I can't remember. But at that event, I remember that we had no less than about 50 volunteers, all hands on deck. I think what amazed me the most, that I counted that our volunteers spoke a total of 15 foreign languages. So I'm not counting, but I am Spanish, Mandarin, Cantonese, Russian, Ukrainian, Korean, Vietnamese, Thai, Hindi, Farsi, French, Czech, Arabic, Indonesian, and Malaysian, about 15 languages. So my story was that at one point in the afternoon, a volunteer actually came up to me asking if there was a Korean translator on site. And I said, yes, we did, or yes, we do. That person was actually one of my providers here, Tim, in my office. He speaks Korean. So I grabbed him and we went to that gentleman filling out a form, and only to find out he actually speaks Mongolian. Well, I just had about every language translated but Mongolian that day. So I said, let's just try our best. Let's just do it in English and see what happens. So I started helping him out, and I asked for his ID so I can write his name and date of birth, and he gave me his passport. Interestingly, I learned that Mongolian passports have English, but also Mongolian Cyrillic alphabets on them. It's like Cyrillic of all things, right? So I had my aha moment that day. I remember we actually have a volunteer that speaks Russian, like I said, so which also uses Cyrillic in this alphabet. So she happened to be a few feet away from us. So by a long shot, she was able to quickly jump in to help. And lo and behold, the patient does speak Russian indeed, and was able to get assistance in no time. So, but I'm not always that lucky, but I was lucky that day. So anyway, it's been my great pleasure to be joining you all this evening. I think my hope is that you feel even more encouraged to explore partnerships as you take on critically important work. And you can imagine sources of relationships to make the kinds of system changes that I guess our complex world today demands. So thank you for listening. And I hope to connect with all of you on a more personal level soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And that particular event that Kevin was talking about, it was about 4 partners were involved in that first event when it was right after the J&J vaccine had been approved, like for a lot more people at that point. And it was between, like, some of the translators were coming from ICHS as well as CIFC, and then like the Bellevue Y as well as Stepping Stone. So as we know, like it takes a village for all of us to move forward. So that particular day was, or 2 days, I should say, was a lot of work. Yeah, because it was over 2 days that happened. So many people, but it gave an opportunity for people just to, again, find hope. That was a lot of like what we heard from people, like just feeling hope for moving forward. So thank you, Kevin. With that, we're going to bring up our next speaker to the stage, as I want to say, and that is Liz Grant, our Healthy Living Supervisor. And I've asked Liz to share about an experience that she's had very recently here at the Bellevue Y. As a side note, Liz is one of our newer leadership staff who has come to and joined the Bellevue Y this last year. And I have a hard time imagining the Y without Liz. Like what we do without having Liz here at the Bellevue Y, because she has fully immersed herself very much in our community, between teaching our AOA strength class and teaching Zumba, but just also finding different ways to get our healthy living involved beyond just teaching class. And I feel like this, to me, like this story she's about to share really touches on how we're doing work with partners that is more than just physical health. Like she is really touching on so many things, like with one particular person, as well as all her clients, of just thinking beyond just the physical health. I'll pass on to her.
Oh, thank you so much, Heather, for the warm introduction there. Just a quick background on myself. I have been in the fitness industry for about 8 years now, and with the Y since 2016. One of the things that I absolutely love the most about this industry, though, is the people. And what I love about that is helping them reach their goals, whatever it is. I mean, it could be fitness goals, it could be education goals, or whatever it is. It's just empowering people to see the greatness within themselves. And it has been an amazing journey. So just a few months ago, I completed my personal training certification, and my plan was to use that as another vehicle in being able to reach out to different demographics of people. And I thought that this would help bridge the gap between people who were looking to increase the health, but also to have a bigger connection with others, which is really, it just is a passion of mine. It touches my heart to be able to connect with others. And little did I know how true that would turn to be. Because right about that time I was finishing my certification, Rainier Athletes it's an organization that we work with. They reached out to us and they had a special case. Rainier Athletes is an organization that works with troubled youth in our area. And the mission there is they will provide incentives and ways to help keep kids active in order to help them stay in school and graduate. So this liaison from the Rainier Athletes had a teenager who was struggling with severe depression. And this teen, she had been in and out of Children's Hospital for quite a while now. And she had also immigrated to the United States from Africa. And she was really struggling to find belonging here in Bellevue and the Seattle area. And after first meeting with this youth, what I suspected that she was really needing was just to feel connected to something here and to feel like she had a safe space with somebody that she trusted. So after meeting with her that first time and speaking with the case manager, he sent an email expressing his gratitude for the meeting, and he had spoken with the youth. She has had a history of having a really hard time accepting good things that come to her. And it's very understandable given her experiences. But that after some tears, it was evident that this teen was very excited to take a step with the Y and ultimately make the decision to improve her mental and her physical health. So I began working with her. It started out twice a week for 30 minutes. She was very quiet and very withdrawn from the beginning. We would do a series of exercises, pretty much anything that she wanted to do. I'd ask her if she wanted to run on the treadmill or jump rope or what is it that sounded interesting to her. So the exercises varied from week to week on what we did. But it was really neat to see that occasionally in the middle of jump roping, you would see this laugh that you knew didn't happen very often, or I would catch a smile on her face. And although all of this was very fleeting, it really gave me a sense that inside her, there was optimism and there was hope. I tried to create a safe space for her to be able to open up as much or as little as she wanted to. I really wanted this to be a place for her to feel safe and not feel like she had to talk about all the world's problems, or if she wanted to just be quiet, I would let her just be quiet. And over the course of a few weeks, her trust really started to open up. And she would regularly start texting me and just asking me all sorts of questions about the different classes and things that were offered at the Y. And she'd ask my opinion, should I go to Zumba or should I go to yoga? And a lot of the times I would go to those classes with her and just be there as a support for her. And she really developed this sense of trust with me there. She was starting to open up a bit, and the smiles became a little bit more regular, and the conversations became a little bit more regular. And you could tell that she was starting to feel comfortable in her surroundings. So just a few short months of working with this teen, I saw this youth go from severely depressed and withdrawn to someone who was able to possibly, for the first time since moving to the US, open up and feel connected to somebody else that was here. And that was pretty cool. So what does the Y do? How does your support go to helping kids and teens like this one? Well, you see, this youth, she wasn't able to afford a membership. And it's because of our partnerships with other organizations like Rainier Athletes that we're able to use some of our fundraising dollars to offer scholarships for teens, kids, families that need our services. And without these donations, it's just simply not possible. So thank you so much for taking the time and listening to my story in working with this youth. I know that her and I have a long way to go, but it's been an incredibly rewarding journey for both of us and making a difference in her life. And it's made a difference in my life too. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz, so much for sharing that story. And it's definitely something that many of us as a staff, like we have noticed that change in that young person. And we hope to see her back at the branch soon. We know that she's away with family, but it is an honor that we get to have great partners like Rainier Athletes introduce us to young people who need that assistance. So as we are wrapping up our night, I do want to bring up another voice to the table. And I hope he was here a second ago. There he is. That's what I'm looking for. Yes. So I would love to bring up Larry Gilmore, CEO of Clear Blue Capital Group, as well as our board chair here at the Bellevue Y. And he's going to share with you some thoughts as we wrap up this night.
Thank you so much, Heather. And I want to thank Heather and Danny and Gwen and all of the great speakers who have spoke tonight. I believe that everyone who's experienced tonight has gotten a very good, diverse understanding of how the Y is playing a critical role throughout the Bellevue community and surrounding area. My experience with Y, I'd like, before I jump in, just give you a little background of me and my background. I've spent 30 years in banking and community development, and I've had a great career. I spent 14 years in Washington, D.C., all focused on really helping underserved communities. But when I think about my life as a child, the YMCA played a critical role. In elementary school, my first experience in learning how to swim was after school, going to the YMCA. Summer camps, I was involved in the YMCA. Being involved in basketball camps, I was involved in the YMCA. And the YMCA just played a critical role in providing a safe space for other community organizations to participate. I was an active member in drum and drill teams where I played drums and we went across the country and performed, but our regular place where we practiced was our local YMCA. And so I know that the night is getting late, and what I'd like to do is just jump right in and really talk about why one of the key reasons we're here today is really to talk about the annual fund drive and why it's so important. And so when we think about the fund drive, we have really three main goals and objectives. And one key objective is really increasing engagement. Our goal is really to increase engagement, engage in conversations and build relationships with members, program participants, and the community. One key thing that Heather said was it's so important to meet our customers, our clients, our community where they are. Really, mostly all of the activities that the Y engages in is a result of what's needed directly in the Bellevue community. And so our goal is always to engage through events like this, hear directly from the public, and really respond to the public to really provide the right activities that support families, that support youth, that support our seniors, and that supports the overall community. The second key goal is really about awareness. There are a number of people who have experienced the Y in some capacity throughout their life. Ideally, many of you are probably participants in the Y right now. But in many cases, we probably have a small understanding of all the different things that the Y is either currently doing or what it can potentially do to support you and your family, other organizations you may be involved in, and things you might want to do in the future. And so our goal is really to increase awareness around the Y being accessible to you. We're here to listen, we're here to adapt, and really, based on what you share with us, provide you the right programming that meets the needs of the community. And then our last goal is really we invite stakeholders to participate in our work to make an impact and accomplish our mission. And there's so many different ways you can do that. Even though this is a fundraising drive, this is the beginning of our 2022 fundraising drive. This isn't just about really getting the community involved, the stakeholders involved to really request funds. There's so many different ways you can get engaged in activities throughout the Y. And so again, our key goals is engaging with the community, meeting our customers in our community where they are to really respond to them, increase awareness where you really know the robust, comprehensive services that the Y is providing throughout the community. And then lastly, we want your involvement. And again, that involvement, one piece of that involvement obviously is our request for you to consider to contribute directly to the Y any way you possibly can, but also there's a number of different ways you can get engaged in which Heather and her team will talk about a little further. And so what does that mean? So when we think about, we heard Danny talk a little earlier as it relates to the broad Y network and the fundraising goal. And so the fundraising goal for this Bellevue Y is $125,000. We did a great job last year and we're just launching the fundraise and we're en route to do that again this year. And so we're asking, as we think about the ways you can engage, your participation any way you can to consider contributing dollars is much appreciated. What we're asking for tonight is pledges in which you have the full year to contribute. You can contribute in small increments throughout the year. You don't have to contribute all at once, and really do what you feel like you can do. And then also you have friends and family in your warm market who you know understand all the great work that the Y does and would be interested in participating. We ask that you really advocate and encourage people in your warm market to also consider to contribute. So what's next? We have another event similar to this, and we're going to share additional great stories around things that the Y is currently doing in the community and continue to share information as relates to things that we have planned in the future. We welcome your feedback. And so advocate, we want you to share what you learned today with your friends, family, neighbors, and your colleagues. We ask that you consider volunteering. We have a great board I have the pleasure of working with over the last 2 years who really provides feedback to the Y as well as other community participants. We encourage you to volunteer in other ways, and Heather can speak to you about other ways you can volunteer to really support the Y's activities. And then again, directly invest. Support the community with a gift or a pledge to activate this work today. And so logistically, I want to turn it back over to Heather and she can dive into more details around our call to action and ways you can engage. And again, we want to thank all of you for taking time out of your schedule this Thursday evening to participate in this. I hope you learned a lot. We encourage your participation. We encourage your ideas. We encourage your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Larry, for sharing tonight and being part of this evening. So as Larry said, we would love if people are able to connect with us. I will be actually leaving my personal email in the chat if people wish to email me and ask questions further. But if you are so compelled tonight to make a donation, we do have a QR code available that will take you to a site where you can make your donation. If you wish to send a donation directly through mail or stop by at their branch, we are happy to certainly meet you or be able to accept your mail. And we also have the opportunity to make a pledge. Again, tonight I would love to have commitments from people to be a part of the work we're doing, and making a pledge can make a difference. So it doesn't mean that you have to make the payment now. As Larry said, there's ways you can spread the wealth throughout the year. Sometimes I think about my own donations and contributions, and I think about if I didn't want to, if I bought this latte once a week, could I do the same thing by contributing to the Y, by contributing something like that once a week, or however you wish to think about that, once a month. But we do appreciate you just being here and listening to our stories. That has meant a lot to us tonight. And like I said, I will be leaving my email in the chat so that way you can directly email me if you have questions. And we thank you for being part of this evening. So have a good evening, and we will hopefully connect with you very soon. Have a good night. Well, I'm going to say thank you to all of you for being part of this, and very gracious for all this time you've given. So have a good evening, and you'll probably see some emails from me to follow up. But again, I'm so thankful for all the energy tonight.
Thank you, Heather and team.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah. Ms. Jean, I don't know if you saw the message from Claudia Balducci in the chat.
I did.
Okay,
I did.
I wasn't sure if you saw that, but yeah, how long ago was that? That's Victor.
I have known Victor since he was in, I'm going to say first grade.
Okay.
And saw him just a couple of months ago.
Oh.
And it's, yeah. So he's 16 now.
Oh my.
Wow.
Wow.
I
Wow.
got to see Claudia over the summer. Yeah.
Ah, gotcha. Well, I'm going to close the room now, and we will be in touch. Thank you all.
Thank you, Heather.